Keeping a player who doesn't fit is a mistake that can haunt a franchise for years. And right now, the Bills are facing a massive decision that could change our offense forever. We've all felt the frustration of watching a high draft pick struggle to find his rhythm while the clock keeps ticking on our championship window. This is about more than just one roster spot. It is about the standard of excellence in Buffalo. Please subscribe to help us reach 500 subscribers and leave a like if you love the Bills. Coleman is currently at the center of a storm that could see him playing in a different uniform before the season kicks off. For the last 2 years, we have waited for that breakout moment that justifies his high selection, but the production simply hasn't matched the potential we all hoped for when he arrived. General Manager Brandon Beane and Offensive Coordinator Joe Brady have spent months trying to convince us that the breakthrough is coming, yet the reality on the field tells a much different story. We have to be honest with ourselves as fans because the depth chart is moving on without him. With the arrival of DJ Moore and the impressive rise of Skylar Bell, the room is getting crowded and the opportunities for a third-year jump are shrinking by the day. Even our franchise leader, Josh Allen, has been one of the biggest supporters of the young receiver since the 2024 draft. Allen actually pushed for the team to bring him in and has never publicly wavered in his belief. But even the best quarterback in the league can't force a connection that isn't translating to wins. The situation is becoming polarizing for the fan base because we want to see every draft pick succeed, especially one with such physical tools. However, when you look at the numbers, a successful season for him at this point might only mean 20 catches, which isn't enough for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. Brandon Beane now faces the difficult task of admitting a mistake and cutting bait before the value drops to zero. There are teams like the Tennessee Titans, where Brian DeBole is now calling the shots, who might still see something worth saving. DeBole knows Allen well and might trust his endorsement enough to take a flyer on the young target. Other teams like the New Orleans Saints or the Washington Commanders are also desperate for help on the outside and could offer a fresh start. It is a tough pill to swallow for a front office that prides itself on drafting well, but keeping him just to avoid the appearance of failure is a dangerous game. We are watching a critical moment in the team's roster construction unfold right now for Buffalo Bills fans. The struggle of a high-profile athlete is always a human story that hits close to home for those of us who have followed this team through the lean years and the glory days. This specific receiver was supposed to be the big-bodied target who could dominate the red zone and give the offense a physical edge it was lacking. Instead, he has found himself buried under the weight of expectations and a scheme that seems to have passed him by as new talent arrives. When a player becomes a distraction not because of his attitude, but because of his lack of production, it creates a strange tension in the locker room. The coaches have to answer questions about him every single day, and that energy could be better spent focusing on the players who are actually moving the chains. If the front office decides to move on now, they aren't just losing a player. They are making a statement that performance is the only currency that matters in Orchard Park. We have seen this script before in the NFL where a change of scenery does wonders for a young man's career, and perhaps that is exactly what is needed here. Staying in Buffalo means fighting for scraps behind established stars and hungry rookies who are already proving they belong. The physical attributes are still there, the size and the wingspan that made him a draft darling, but the speed of the professional game seems to be a step ahead of his development. By exploring a trade, the Bills are looking to recoup any value possible, whether it is a late-round pick or a rotational piece at another position of need. It is about being proactive rather than reactive. If they wait until he is cut or falls completely off the map, they get nothing. Right now, there is still the reclamation project tag that can entice a desperate team to make a deal. We want the best for every man who wears the charging buffalo on his helmet, but the business side of football is cold and calculated. Winning a ring requires making these types of heart-wrenching decisions before it is too late for the Buffalo Bills roster. Making a move like this could be the difference between a deep playoff run and another year of wondering what went wrong with the roster. If the team clears this spot, it opens up more snaps for Skylar Bell, who has already shown he can be a reliable weapon for the offense. It also allows the coaching staff to stop trying to force a player into a role that clearly isn't working for him. This would help the team win more games because the focus shifts back to efficiency and results rather than potential and hope. When you have a quarterback in his prime, you cannot afford to waste targets on someone who isn't consistently getting open or catching the ball. Every dropped pass or wrong route is a missed opportunity to put points on the board, and in the AFC, those mistakes are fatal. If the front office acts now, they show the entire locker room that no one is safe based on their draft pedigree alone. This creates a culture of accountability that is necessary for a championship environment. Fans might feel a sense of loss because we all invested our emotions into his success, but the long-term health of the team is more important than one individual's journey. We need players who can contribute right now, not 2 years from today. By trading him for a 5th or 6th round pick, the Bills get a fresh start and a chance to find a special teams contributor or a backup who fits the current system better. It is about maximizing the resources available to support the stars we already have on the field. The risk of doing nothing is that he continues to take up a roster spot while his value plummets to nothing. That is a waste of a valuable asset that could be used elsewhere. We have to trust that the leadership knows when a relationship has reached its natural end. Moving on allows the team to breathe and focus on the ultimate goal of bringing a trophy to Western New York. It is a bold move, but sometimes the boldest moves are the ones that save a season from mediocrity and pain. Let's consider the two paths this could take because the tension in the air is thick. If the Bills decide to keep him and he finally finds his footing, it would be a miraculous turnaround that makes the front office look like geniuses. He could become that missing piece in the red zone, using his frame to shield defenders and giving the offense a dimension it desperately needs. In that best-case scenario, the patience of the fans and the coaches is rewarded with a reliable starter who helps propel us to the Super Bowl. It would be a story of redemption that we would talk about for decades in Buffalo. But we have to look at the other side of the coin, which feels much more likely based on what we've seen. If he stays and continues to struggle, he becomes a lightning rod for criticism every time the offense stalls. The media will keep asking why he is on the field. The fans will grow more restless with every empty stat line, and the pressure on the quarterback to make something out of nothing will only increase. This could lead to a toxic environment where the focus is on a failing player instead of a winning team. That is the worst-case scenario that keeps us up at night. If they trade him now and he thrives somewhere else, it will hurt to watch, but at least the Bills will have moved on with a clear conscience and a plan for the future. The worst thing a team can do is stay in the middle, hoping for a change that never comes while the rest of the league gets better. The tension comes from the unknown, but the evidence we have suggests that the window for him to succeed in this specific system has closed. The contrast is clear. One path leads to a potential but unlikely recovery, while the other leads to a clean break and a more focused roster. We are at a crossroads where a single decision by the general manager will ripple through the entire 2026 season for Buffalo. In the end, the situation with our young receiver has reached a breaking point that requires a definitive answer. We can't keep living on hope when the production on the field is telling us a different story. The front office has a chance to be proactive and secure some value before the situation gets even worse. It's a tough call, but championship teams are built on making the hard choices that others are afraid to make. We want to see this team succeed more than anything, and that means putting the best possible talent on the field every Sunday. Be honest with me, Bills fans, would you rather keep waiting for a breakthrough that might never happen, or would you prefer to see us move on and use that spot for someone who can help us win right now? It is time to face the music and do what is best for the future of this franchise. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we are pushing hard to reach our goal of 500 subscribers. Your support means everything to us. Hit that like button if you agree it's time for a change.